Here's one way to get around in the snow, powered by meat. Primitive, sure. Fast, not really. Fun, absolutely. And lots of traction. And best of all, the propulsion system here is very cute and fuzzy, and the emissions are biodegradable. Of course, if you need more power, more speed, and something you can, say, drive on the road, there's this as another option. Let's have a look. Here's the new Atlas, and here's the setup. This is the biggest Volkswagen cooked up for the North American market with space to spare, 3 seating rows, all the latest tech and safety, and a blocky look that's hard to miss. Pricing starts just under 36 with front-wheel drive and 4-cylinder turbo power, and if you want all-wheel drive, you'll need the V6 engine and about 40 grand for starters. There's a Highline package with all the goodies from about 49 grand too. And if you're after top of the line, you'll want an Execline like this tester, fully loaded from about 52.5 with almost no options left to add. Big bucks, yes, but compare that to a big BMW, Mercedes, or Lexus with similar feature content, and you start to see the appeal if you want all of the flagship fancies but not the luxury brand price tag. There are 2 big things you might find interesting if you're considering one of these as your first venture into the crossover SUV market. And the first is that it's easier to drive and maneuver than its size leads on. Now, you sit higher up in here and there's more vehicle around you, but at the controls, the steering, the brakes, the throttle, and so on, it's all fairly light and lazy. No more difficult to move around than a small car, really. And second, if you've owned one or more previous Volkswagen products in recent years, you will feel right at home in this one. Many of the controls, interfaces, switches, consoles, and so on, even the design of the leather seats, will be highly familiar. Not the instrument cluster though. Atlas debuts this all-digital cluster that's customizable, high resolution, gorgeously animated, and looks like a great big iPad or smartwatch. Elsewhere, it's a distinctively Volkswagen interior, tidy, organized, upscale, but without being overdone, overcomplicated, or overly flashy. No issues with space, up front room galore for 2 big adults, ditto in the middle row seats. In the very rear, space is tighter, but you can physically fit an adult if you like, and no problem for kids to get in and out with ease. The cargo hold is fine with all seats up, fold the rear row down, and it's like a luxurious 5-passenger cargo van. Power comes from this 3.6-liter V6 direct injected for 276 horsepower. As a sign of the times, this is the only Volkswagen engine these days that is not a 4-cylinder turbo. Performance is adequate if not thrilling. The engine works best driven gently where it revs low, stays smooth, and barely makes a peep, though it does have a nice meaty growl when pushed. There's an 8-speed automatic and the latest version of the 4Motion all-wheel drive system, which is fast-acting, smart, makes good decisions, and almost always leaves you feeling like it's expertly extracting the most possible grip from the surface beneath, even on glare ice and in deep snow. A drive mode selector allows fine-tuning of certain vehicle systems on the fly for additional traction in specific situations. Mostly you just leave this in normal mode and forget about it. Press the gas, point the wheel, and the computers controlling the systems do all the thinking. If you're an all-wheel drive geek like me, you'll be interested to know that this latest version of 4Motion has been revised and tweaked over the years and is now better than ever. Interestingly, most of the action takes place in the rear axle, where hydraulically actuated clutch packs grab power from the front and send it to the rear in milliseconds when needed. Traction galore, and even more when you use the drive mode selector dial to set things up properly for the specific conditions. And in most situations, even when you push it a little, what you feel from the driver's seat is easily described. Virtually nothing other than Atlas going where you point it with no fuss right now. Oh, and forget slip then grip. When you stop, all 4 wheels are slightly pre-engaged automatically, giving you full off-the-line traction from the very get-go. On the highway, Atlas rides mostly like it looks like it rides, ditching some of the lower speed lightness to the steering in favor of a more solidly planted steering feel that helps it stay on course with minimal need to readjust. The throttle is fairly lazy, which helps save fuel and requires a good smash for a fast pass. Outward visibility is above average thanks to the tall square windows, and there's no shortage of safety systems either, including Atlas's ability to self-steer back to the center of your lane. This works with your safe driving for even more confidence. Noise levels are about par for the course. There's a little more wind noise than I like at times, but mostly it's a fairly quiet, comfy, and relaxing place to be. A few other notes. Go top of the line like this tester and you get some nicely done high-end features. My favorites included the punchy Fender audio system, which lets you share your tunes loud and clear with fellow motorists if you like, and this central touchscreen which controls it and everything else. Some competitors in this segment are still using displays with graphics on par with Nintendo Duck Hunt, but here the display is super sharp. The screen detects your approaching hand and lights up certain functions only when you reach its way to keep display clutter to a minimum, and in all, it's fast-acting, responsive, rewarding to look at, and relatively simple to use. And all that speaks to the Atlas's main appeal, in my opinion anyways. It's easy to drive, easy to manipulate, and it easily tackles almost anything thrown its way, and it's very good at what it does. This is just a big, gentle giant, and you should have no issues quickly making it part of your life. Gripes? At this price, I wish for a little less hard plastic lining some of the interior, which looks great but can feel a little cheap when you touch certain parts of it. Further, and largely thanks to the big wheels, very rough roads can cause ride quality to degrade fairly quickly, even causing a few squeaks inside and becoming the first vehicle of several hundred to rattle our action camera off on an extremely rough road. Note that I live in Sudbury, Ontario, and our roads are largely worst-case scenario territory. Your results may vary. Just head to the roughest road you can find on your test drive to confirm the Atlas will be comfortable enough for you. Ultimately, it's worthy of consideration in this very overcrowded segment, and a machine that will likely find even more appeal for the shopper who is already a loyal Volkswagen fan after a lot of space and flexibility from a great big ute that doesn't handle itself like an overloaded burrito truck. If you're in the market, be sure to check out the comparably priced versions of the Buick Enclave, Mazda CX-9, and Ford Explorer 2. Thanks for watching. Seems fine, it's still recording. This is what happens when the GoPro falls off the car and you realize it 20 minutes later.
Yeah, sorry.